All right, welcome. I'm here at Quilt Market at American Quilt Retailer. My name is Margret Willingham and my business is Eye of the Beholder Quilt Designs. And I love reverse applique. I've got a whole bunch of new, original, unique designs for reverse applique. A lot of wow for your time spent. So our process is trace, base, snip, and stitch. We start with our pattern. All our patterns come full size. Then we take our background fabric, which is usually a light. We lay it on top of our paper pattern with the wrong side up, and I trace the design. Now this one I already traced just to save some time. Then I take that fabric off of the pattern and I layer it with my top fabric. And I'm going to layer it so both right sides of my fabric point up or point in the same direction. We all think about it a little bit differently. So I would normally do 4 pins. I'm just going to do 2 at this time. So if I looked at the wrong side of my piece, I would see the design traced onto the wrong side of the background. When I flip the piece over, I see the right side of the top fabric. I'm then going to take my thick number 7 sharp needle and thick thread like cotton quilting thread or button thread that's in a contrast color to my top. And I'm going to baste right on the drawn lines of my design. I'm going to put my needle in on my points. I'm going to make sure that my stitch follows the arc of my curves. If you're ever not sure whether you're basting correctly, flip the piece over to the front and go, does that communicate to my brain and my eye what my design is? So our basting transfers the design to the front. It stabilizes the weave of the fabric, and when I'm done, I have no pins in my way. That's one of my favorite parts. Next, I'm going to separate my top fabric away from my background. I make an iceberg below and a mountain above. I would take my scissors and cut off the top of that mountain so that I can get them in and cut away that top fabric, creating a seam allowance of 1/8 to 1/4 inch. Then I would come along and I would clip my points and my curves. You go deep into your points. That's how you get good, crisp inside points. And I'm snipping along my curve line. Then I would come in and I would snip every other basting thread, but don't pull them out yet. Leave them in there. They act like my pins. Now I've shifted to a number 11 milliner's needle. I prefer a long, thin needle for my work. Now this section here, I've already pulled that basting thread out, but I would pop a basting thread out and then I'm going to sweep back that raw edge so my fold line lines up with where my basting thread used to be. And I'm just going into the background fabric, traveling the needle along the back side, and coming up and catching a thread or two of that fold. Now I'm going to pull this back too far on purpose to show you one of the other benefits of the basting. If you look close, you can see a little line of gray speckled dots along there. Those dots were created by that thick basting needle getting in and separating the fibers of that background fabric. So then every time I sweep back, I'm lining up my fold with my line of basting holes. And I keep working my way around to stitch it down. When I'm all done, the piece looks something like this. The design is made by the background fabric peeking out, and that's what makes it reverse applique. Then it would be ready to layer into a quilt, and this block goes in our Twinkling Flurries quilt pattern. So that's how we trace, base, and snip for the easier way to reverse applique the Eye of the Beholder way. Thank you very much.